a character who was published by Timely Comics in the Golden Age, the predecessor of Marvel. He's a dude whose superpower was high-impact voice amplification. In other words, dude shouted real loud. So let's backtrack here for a sec. Thunderer first appeared in 1941 in Daring Mystery Comics issue 7, and was a fellow named Jerry Carstairs, a radio operator frustrated that the US wasn't dealing with crime or Nazi saboteurs, so he took the law into his own hands. After learning of a Nazi infiltration operation that was abusing the radio station he worked at, he adopted the Thunderer persona, a costume with a built-in microphone, and took them down. He is capable of deafening people or leveling buildings with his sonic scream. Sure, you could call him a predecessor to Black Bolt's perhaps, on a creative level, but let's be real here. How exactly he was able to create a built-in microphone to do that in the 40s and level buildings is beyond me. Needless to say, he fell into obscurity, with one of his only claims to fame now being that he appeared in an animated Spider-Man series in an episode called Six Forgotten Warriors. At least his costume looked kinda cool though, you gotta give him that.
Jeffrey Mace was a reporter who was inspired by Captain America to fight as a costume hero named Patriot during World War II, even joining a team of heroes called the Liberty Legion. The team splits up as the war comes to a close, and in 1946, Patriot finds himself in Boston during the same time that the All-Winner Squad was on their mission. The team was all split up, and Naslund found himself in over his head. He sends up a flare, but not before being critically wounded by one of the androids. Patriot follows the flare and finds Naslund, who dies shortly thereafter. At the time, Patriot had no idea that Naslund wasn't the original Captain America. He believed that he just witnessed the death of his hero and inspiration. What he does know is that Cap's mission with the All-Winner Squad isn't over yet. He puts on a spare costume and finishes the fight as Captain America. When the battle is over, Bucky, or rather the kid filling in as Bucky, spots that this Captain America isn't Naslund. Patriot unmasks himself and explains to the group what happened, but they all know that the Captain America name needs to live on, so Patriot is accepted as part of the team without hesitation.
Was created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Cap made his first appearance in Captain America Comics issue 1 in March of 1941. In 1940, writer Joe Simon conceived the idea for Captain America and made a sketch of the character in costume. I wrote the name Super American at the bottom of the page, which is what Joe Simon said in his autobiography. He goes on to say, "No, it didn't work. There were too many supers around. Captain America had a good sound to it. There weren't a lot of captains in comics. It was as easy as that." Captain America's sidekick Bucky was named after Joe Simon's friend, who was the star of the high school basketball team. Simon also recalled in his autobiography that Timely Comics publisher Martin Goodman gave him the go-ahead and directed that a Captain America solo comic book series be published as soon as possible, needing to fill a full comic with primarily one character's story. Joe Simon got his partner and friend, the infamous Jack Kirby, to pencil the book, and boom, the first issue of Captain America. The first vision was created by writer Joe Simon and artist Jack Kirby in Marvel Mystery Comics issue 13 in November of 1940, published by Marvel's predecessor, Timely Comics, during the golden age of comic books. But clearly by seeing the picture I showed you guys on the screen, you can tell that that's not the vision we all know and love. It wasn't until decades later, editor Stan Lee and writer Roy Thomas decided to add a new team member to the Avengers. Thomas wanted to bring the golden age vision back, but Lee was set on introducing an android member. Thomas ultimately compromised by using a new android vision, first appearing in Avengers 57 in October of 1960.
Child fainted, but he was recovered by members of a nearby circus, who quickly discovered his immunity to flame. The circus folk took Toro in, using his talents in their fire-eating show, planning to look after him until they were able to locate his family. Sometime later, while listening to the radio, Jim heard about Toro, the amazing fire-eating boy, and knew who it had to be. When the torch traveled to the circus to meet up with Toro, his presence triggered the boy's own fire powers, allowing him to flame on for the first time. This time, the torch stayed with Toro, teaching him to harness and use his powers the same way he could. And so, Jim Hammond became Thomas Raymond's legal guardian, and the two became partners in danger and good friends.
Macari, this Eternal that was spoken to by the Dreaming Celestial, is played in the films by Lauren Ridloff, a deaf actress who previously appeared on The Walking Dead. This is another gender-swapped role, with the comic Macari a man, wearing a bright red suit and able to move incredibly fast, often seen throughout history as characters like Hermes from Greek mythology. Most Eternals also have the ability to do things like fly, have incredible strength and durability, and most of them can even manipulate energy or molecules to shoot blasts or alter matter, so Macari can do most of these things as well. One of the leaders named his daughter in honor of the goddess Athena, leading us to Athena, played in the film by Angelina Jolie. She is a powerful warrior and has some additional ability to control her own body's molecules, able to heal from virtually any injury. She can also produce heat and light, as well as minor telepathy and telekinesis.
Clairevoyant, she was a spirit medium when she was human, gifted with communicating with the dead. And now, when she was performing a routine seance with the Waggler family, she was possessed by Satan and accidentally put a curse on the Waggler family. The resulting curse ended up in a fatal car accident where only James Waggler, this guy, survived, and he accused Clairevoyant of, causing the death of his family, which he was actually goaded on by Satan, and he gunned Clairevoyant down, and as she was dying, she vowed to have her revenge. So Clairevoyant ended up dying and went to hell, where Satan bestowed upon her the power of the Black Widow. So he gave her the task of expediting souls of evil men back to hell.
In the day, long before Johnny Storm became the Human Torch, there was another Marvel character who operated under that mantle, an android known as Jim Hammond, who first appeared in Marvel's predecessor, Timely Comics. He fought alongside the likes of Captain America and Namor back in the Golden Age, working with them to take down Axis enemies at the height of World War II. But he would fall into obscurity in the 50s, much like many other superheroes at the end of the Golden Age.
Thomas Halloway, aka the Angel, is one of Marvel Comics' oldest heroes, appearing in the very first issue of Marvel Comics, and canonically being one of the first of the World War II Golden Age heroes. This doesn't mean that he is extremely popular, but popular enough for us to make this video and get it out of the way. Seriously, he was the fourth most favorite of the era, after the Human Torch, Cap, and some water guy with pointy ears who will not be mentioned. Tragically, this powerless mustache jaw of yesterday's gem has plagued over 150 comics.
Golden Age stories of Namor are depicted in the first Marvel comic books known as Timely Comics, and during World War II he was sent to the surface to deal with mysterious divers who turned out to be Nazis. That's when he learned that the Nazis were after Atlantis because they wanted to capture an experiment on the Atlanteans, hoping that it would help them in their efforts of world conquest. Imperious Rex! So Namor would have none of that. He was focusing his efforts on ending the Nazi menace, and because of that, he famously joined up with the first Marvel supergroup, the Invaders, where he fought alongside the original Human Torch, Captain America, and Bucky. There are countless comic books written about their escapades together, but what is known is that Namor's temper could only be quelled by the utter defeat of Nazism.